Hi, my name's Emily. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm a literary consultant, a fiction writing coach, a college writing instructor, and a published author. I'm here to talk to you today about one extremely important tip, one strategy that will really help if you're newer in the fiction writing world, if this is your first book, if you want to make a career out of writing fiction. This trick and tip is going to skyrocket your results compared to the average first time published author. And let me just get right down to telling you what this is. My tip, and this is something that I encourage and work with most of my writing students, is to plan on writing series fiction, series novels. And let me tell you why. Okay, in this modern day and age, we ferociously and voraciously consume content on streaming instant access sites. Let's say for entertainment, we have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Amazon Prime, we have, I don't know what else is there, Flickster, there's Apple TV, we have DirecTV and Comcast. We can record stuff on our DVR. Some people, we have Disney Plus. Some people only want to wait and watch something until all the episodes are released. We are a type of society now that likes more of what we love, and we want it when we want it, and we want it fast. Okay, so if you really did write a fantastic kick-ass book, but you release it to Amazon, you self-publish, maybe you release it to Amazon, you release it to Barnes & Noble, you put it on Ingram, you use Lightning Source, whatever you do, you put it on Powell's Online, you sell on your website, you sell on eBay or Etsy, whatever it is you do. Sure, you can find some readers. You want to get noticed, you want to get 100 reviews, you want to get 100 or more followers on your email list. You want to be noticed in the ranks on Amazon ratings. I can't emphasize enough, even if you have the greatest book ever, here's the problem. Let's say somebody discovers your book on a scrolling through Amazon or on a recommendation. They take a chance on it, they buy it, they really, really love it. Then they're immediately going to click your name, like the author name on Amazon, and they're going to see what else you have, and there's not going to be anything. They're going to be like disappointed, and then they're going to go find someone else to read that does have series novels. And then when you release another book in 6 months or 2 years or 3 years, they're going to have long forgotten about you. So this is also important because you want to show potential publishers, you want to show agents, you want to even show your fans or your followers or your readers, you have the ability to be more than a one-time hit, to be more than a one-time author. People want to follow, buy, and read the books of people who can regularly write books that they love. Okay, so we all have our favorite series novelists. We all have our favorite series graphic artists that do, I don't know, adult coloring books. Every time they release a new book, we buy another one. Every time, we watch the same shows, the next episode, the next season. So if you're just like a one-time wonder, you're not going to get very far. So you want to try, it doesn't matter if you write romantic, sweet romance, erotica, crime drama, suspense, fantasy fiction, historical fiction, coming of age fiction, it doesn't matter. Whatever your current book, your first book, if you've already started writing it or have written it and haven't published it, or one you're considering writing, whatever genre it's in, you can try to use your brilliant imagination, because you have one, because you're a fiction author, to create a series around it. It is so easy, and honestly, it is so much fun. All of my books are in series. I have a crime drama, romantic suspense series, and I have a sweet romance series. And when you have a series concept, you can pump out books like it's cool. And by that, I don't mean every one of your books is unfinished and ends on a cliffhanger, and you have to continue the story in the next one and the next one. Certainly you can do that, but you have to always know that when you're writing series fiction, each book has to stand alone, have the elements of a formatted novel according to modern day publishing standards from start to finish that tells its own story. But that doesn't mean you can have the same series of characters show in the next book and the next book and continue their lives with different events. If you think of Debbie Macomber's TV show, Cedar Cove, based on her book Cedar Cove. It's all revolving around this fictional, coastal romantic town where a lot of divorcees live. And she writes all of her books with different characters and different little mini stories all around this town of Cedar Cove. My books, Snowdrop Valley series, I read under the pen name Vivian Mayfair. Snowdrop Valley is a little literary book town in Vermont where the entire town is built around the concept of literature. Every business, every house, every tourist attraction, it's all about books. The restaurants, every bookstore, there's a bookstore for every possible type of book or genre you can think of in this town. Every B&B, every bookstore, every business somehow revolves around the themes of literature. So I invented this town, Snowdrop Valley. And then I've come up with 3 books so far, 4, one of them isn't published yet. Actually 5. One's finished and not published, and the 5th one I've started writing. But all of these are different stories about people in this town. The very first one, my Christmas Darling, is about takes place in Manhattan, and this is about how the town got started. Okay, how that turned into a literary book town. It's sort of like the precursor to the rest of my series. But my next 2 books, A Sleepy Hollow Kiss and Wedding at Walden Pond, are both stories that take place 5 years later, starting with the Halloween one, which is the second book, are revolving around, so my book, A Sleepy Hollow Kiss, revolves around the Literary Arts College. So the town of Snowdrop Valley has a Literary Arts College, an entire college that offers college degrees only based on literature. And it's about the director of the Gothic Arts program and who meets a man who comes in to work with her on incorporating horror literature into this program. And they're constantly at odds. And they have to host Gothic Literature Week for incoming students and come up with all these activities. And of course, these two hate each other. This is a romance novel. And then my 3rd book, Wedding at Walden Pond, is about the owner of a fairy tale bookstore and French bakery and the owner of the horror bookshop, Broomstick Books, and their story, how they come together and how they're at odds and how it all revolves around Green Gables Farm, which is this, awesome annual festival, fall festival in New England, where people come from all over, and how they're trying to raise book money for the literary town. So really, and I have another book, Once Upon a Thanksgiving. This is all about, this one is the one that's finished but not published. It's all about how different story, the first private school for children they're trying to open in this town of Snowdrop Valley, which is all revolving a curriculum supported by literature, and all the topics in education revolving around literary basis. And so it's about this gal who comes from Boston who thinks she got hired, she thinks, to teach there, but she gets there to find out she wasn't really hired to teach, she was hired to be an assistant. And the person who's actually running the school is someone she's at great odds with. And so there's this whole story. I won't bore you about going into that, but my point is I have a whole list of like 10 other ideas for entire novels around this book town, around different businesses or people in the town, the stories behind it, and romances that happen between people. In my book, you see some appearances of other businesses. Like I have Wonka's Candy Emporium, which is all a candy emporium that sells nothing but children's books. And an older man in the 60s who's a widow runs that book. And so I have a whole plan and outline to write an older romance between, him and then a gal who owns the Novelty Sense candle shop, and how they kind of come together. But there's a lot of craft. It's way more intricate than this and all the events that happen in the plot. But I'm just showing you how one concept, you can revolve a series around a town. You can revolve a series around a family, a big extended famous or popular family. This is what I did with my first series, which was crime drama, romantic suspense, which was my Fortune series, which actually I've been rewriting those books because those are my first books. And my writing over the decade has improved so much as I went in to get my professional writing degree over the years and on and on. But in that series, it's all about a really incredibly famous billionaire family, and everybody in the family are musical prodigies, with the parents being like Hollywood legends, and all of their family are, all of their 9 children are prodigies in the music entertainment world. 2 of them left that, one to become a detective and one to become a surgeon, and they're all brothers. And this family is highly tied into the mafia. And so but the one cop that is the detective, the son, who's also was a rock star when he was younger, who left that behind to become a cop, is constantly at odds with his family. So because you kind of have the different, classes there from familial expectation. But the whole story revolves around a girl, Yelena, who's the only girl in the entire family who was the daughter of the cop, but she doesn't know he's her father. She believes that her father is his brother, the one that became the surgeon. There's a whole story behind that. He gave his daughter to his brother and blah, blah, blah to protect her because she's actually the one that's most heavily associated with the Italian crime family through her biological mother, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I have this whole series that turned into like 4 books that revolves around one family and a really interesting story with a lot of people in it. So you can make really interesting stories about the different people in it. But what I'm saying is every time, like the people that would read any one of my books always wanted immediately more and more and want to know more of the story. And I would conclude each novel with a satisfying conclusion, but it was like a little cliffhanger, even though I concluded the story, but I foreshadowed an ongoing events that would be happening in the next books, but not in an inconclusive kind of way. And so and I wrote my crime drama series years and years ago, 2011 through 2014, but and I'm currently rewriting and re-releasing them now. But years later in 2019, when I wrote my sweet romance series, I tried a different strategy. I did not do just the one novel. I wrote all 3 of them. My Christmas Darling, A Sleepy Hollow Kiss, Wedding at Walden Pond, back to back. Each book took me about 3 months, back to back, send them off to the editor, got them back, re-edited them myself, sent them off to proofreaders, got my beta launch. I launched all 3 of my books at once because I knew with my previous series that just the one book, everyone wanted more. And it took me like a couple of years to get to the next one. And then people had forgotten about me. And so I wanted to establish myself under my pen name, Vivian Mayfair. I wanted to establish myself as someone who could prolifically write ongoing series romance, because that's what romance readers want, a series. They want more, they want more, they want more. And so I knew that as soon as they finished the first one, they were going to want more and more. And I gave them a little bit to go with to keep them busy for a while I'm working on the next couple. And I did this because I didn't want them to think I was this one-hit wonder, because you guys, there are so many books. There's like millions of books on Amazon, for example. There's so much competition. You have to be smart and strategic and prove you can be more than a one-hit wonder. You have to be a prolific, ongoing content creator when you're an author, and you have to please your fans. People will stick with you if you can satisfy them regularly, if you can give them content regularly, and if they like your style and they see that even if you only have 2 books, if you can write 2 books before you release them. Some will say, why? Some people that don't know as much about the strategy will say, why do that? Why not space them out 3 months apart? If it's your very first book, I always teach my clients and I work with them to create 2 books, even take one longer book and split them into 2. So they see when they click your name that you have another book. And in the meantime, that will give them trust and confidence you can produce more. And 2 books will hook them in to become your fan far more than one simple book would, one random book would. Okay. So if you can come up with a series, whether it's a fantastical fantasy world, whether it's a town like My Snowdrop Valley or Cedar Cove, whether it's around a family, whether it's even around a concept. You might write books that are all about one detective agency or 2 detectives, or like, was it the Jack Reacher novels? Those were made into movies, but Jack Reacher, it was one person and a bunch of books were written, different stories around him, crime drama. You can come up with one detective, like if you think of like, Sherlock Holmes or whatever, there's several books about Sherlock Holmes. Come up with one character you can write different books about, different stories that are unique and interesting and show ongoing aspects and adventures in this person's life. One town, one big family, a fake world, a fictional town, a concept, an organization. You could develop a fictional organization around, cancer charity, and there's different stories about stories about how this cancer organization has changed and saved lives of cancer patients, whatever. I think of the children's fiction novel, The Limoncello, Mr. Limoncello's Library. Think of the series of unfortunate events. Was there like 9 books? One of my favorite children's books series of all time, series of unfortunate events. Think of Harry Potter. We're talking about one boy and his wizarding world in 9 books. We're talking about series of unfortunate events, 3 orphans and their series of events, all different books. Series fiction is the way to make yourself into a professional career author that's going to allow you to eventually leave your day job and write full time. But if every book you think of writing is a one-hit wonder, one concept that you can't really take anywhere, you can't spin it off into more books, then if you never are going to get, your chances of getting past that first book and writing prolifically and regularly, producing more books is limited. And it is really true. Once you've written your first book around some, awesome concept, a fictional town, fictional family that you can base a series around, I'm telling you, every single book is so much easier, because the first book, already you've developed a lot of the world, the fictional world, like my Snowdrop Valley, the most emphasis on what the town looks like and is like with details was put in the first book. And assuming most readers will have read the first one, not all. So in the next book, you put some glimpses of the town in there, but you don't need to put as much. And people that have already read the first book in the series know all of that. You can get right into the storyline, and it's more realistic in your mind. If all of your books revolve around this one person or this one family or this one town, you know it like it's real in your mind and your heart and your soul. And everything you go to write is like super easy. So this is my tip, you guys, for making a living as a career fiction author, is to develop, invent, and write a series. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching. If you want more tips and tricks and education on getting published with fiction novels and making a living as a career fiction author, please subscribe, share, and hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next video.